sound, testing the volume. Good. Wonderful. Welcome, you guys. How is everybody? Doing okay? You're here? Breathing? Good. All right. So I'm Chandra. This is my Tuesday night class, in case you're new. How many people are new for this class the first time? Great. And then how many people are new to the alembic also? It's half of those folks. Great. Well, welcome to Tuesday night. This is an ongoing kind of drop-in class, but we build on themes. So the theme of this month is wisdom, prajñā, in Sanskrit, in Buddhism. What is it? How do we develop it? How do we meditate on it? So those are themes that I play with each week in different ways. So it's a broad overarching theme, and it probably will take us into November, because next week we have a special event. It's Feeding Your Demons. It's a practice that I guide once a quarter, more or less. And so we'll do it here next week, 7 o'clock, and I add a half an hour. So it's 7 to 9, and I'll bring my art supplies. We're going to do art with it. You don't need to be an artist. It's just a fun and interesting way to experience this practice of feeding your demons, where we meet and dialogue with through like empty chair. We're switching places. We become the demon. We get to speak as the demon. We become the ally and speak as the ally. And drawing these images can be very helpful. In this context, in Buddhist context in general, demons are that which obstruct our experience of freedom in our life. So whether that's an emotional blockage, self-talk, meaning thinking, thoughts that limit ourselves, and also physical ailments. People have worked with health challenges and so on. And so we get to really deep dive into some of the material that we often meet but don't always know how to work with in meditation. So feeding your demons is a wonderful tool for meditators to work with challenging obstacles to their practice, but also in life. So that's next week as a preamble to Halloween. And it will be, I think, a post class after Michael Taft's Death Sangha over the weekend, right? I think that's on the 26th. So I don't know if there's still slots there, but if you are curious about that, that's also a really wonderful event that Michael Taft offers every year before Halloween. He sets it up as a ritual. I've done it once. It's amazing. So it's beautiful. You can lie down through it. It's a whole guided experience of like maranasati, the mindfulness of death, how to meditate on impermanence and death. But he takes you on a very kind of interesting journey through it. Yeah. Yay, fun. But it helps us appreciate impermanence and life, what we do have here. Okay, so there's that. And let's go ahead and start. But the other thing I wanted to say is, in addition to like these overarching themes that I like to have in the class, we move instruction by instruction, slogan by slogan, through this classic Mahayana Tibetan Buddhist text called the 7-Point Mind Training by Chekawa Yeshe Dorje. And it's a beautiful text with the pithy one-liners that instruct us on meditation, how to work also with obstacles on the path, and really how to cultivate bodhicitta, this compassionate heart that aspires to, that longs to awaken for ourselves, yes, but also for all beings, to be of benefit in the world in some way. So that's the main kind of theme in the mind training teachings of Lojong mind training. So that tonight we'll talk a little bit about our 44th slogan. We're kind of close to the end of this text, but people are welcome to jump in at any time. We'll do the 44th slogan. Okay. So let's begin with our usual prayer that you have in on your handout, releasing into presence chant sheet. And we'll begin with the Narayani prayer. The English translation is below the Sanskrit. This is a prayer to the goddess Narayani from the Devi Mahatmya. And she's very much akin to Tara, the Buddhist goddess Tara. So we'll do 3 reps of her, and then we'll do 11 repetitions of the Ganesha invocation. Again, the English translation is below the Sanskrit. This is a newer prayer, so we're repeating it more as a way to learn it. How many people have memorized the Ganesha one now? Anybody have it memorized? Yeah, nice, good. Often it'll just happen if you do it regularly. You don't have to effort too much. All right. So let's begin by listening to the sound of the tambura. It's a classical veena type instrument from India used for meditation and chanting. So allow the eyes to close and feel the sound of the tambura washing through you. Just meditate on the sound. Taking some deep breaths and releasing into presence. Releasing into this moment in your breath, in the body. We'll begin with a chant, and I'll call the first line and you can repeat, and so on, and then we'll do 3 total together. Sharanagata dinartha, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata Dinartha, Paritrana Parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. Now the Ganesha removes obstacles, in particular obstacles to learning, obstacles to practice. I'll call and you can respond in the first go around. Vakratunda Mahakaya, Vakratunda Mahakaya, Surya Koti Samaprabha, Surya Koti Samaprabha, Nirvighna Kuru Me Deva, Nirvighna Kuru Me Deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada, Vakratunda mahakaya, Surya koti samaprabha, Nirvignam kuru me deva, Sarvakaryeshu sarvada. Let's arouse our heartfelt motivation for our practice through the prayers on the other side, now in English, Bodhicitta prayers. There's a typo there. The second word should say led, not let. And we all say ho together. Ho is a Sanskrit word for like exclamation, like, oh, how wonderful. So here we go. Ho, led astray by myriad appearances, like reflections of the moon and water, beings wander in the endless chain of samsara. To bring them ease in the radiant space of awareness, with the four boundless qualities, I arouse bodhicitta. Now this next prayer is the four immeasurable prayer, classic Buddhist prayer. And this is how we arouse bodhicitta, these four boundless, immeasurable qualities. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. May all beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. And take a moment to arouse your own personal heartfelt motivation for practice, for your life. Even saying it internally within you, silently. And then extending thanks and gratitude for your biological and spiritual ancestors, acknowledging them as we enter into this sacred space of practice, giving thanks. All that brought you here to this moment. And then acknowledging the earth upon which we sit, indigenous land of Lisjanaloni land, acknowledging this and giving thanks and gratitude to the stewardship of the land, waterways, feeling ourselves situated in this time and place. And then slowly open your eyes. So we're going to move in a moment before practice, but I just would like to say that this beginning practice with your motivation is like having a ballast on a ship. It helps to chart your course and get you to where you want to go. It's a very important element in practice to start with some, even if it's a brief moment of remembering what it is that pulls you to the cushion, what it is that brings you to practice, what is your longing for your life. And then, if not already, expanding that through this bodhicitta aspiration, this immeasurable aspiration to be of benefit to all beings. Now, that might feel completely impossible. How do I bring all beings to enlightenment? But even just the mere statement helps us crack open this limited sense of who we are and what we're capable of into this interconnected reality, really, that we're not separate from all beings. So in that way, my awakening ripples out and helps to ignite the awakening of others, and vice versa. So in that way, may I bring all beings to enlightenment, which is a common, bring them the ease in the radiant space of awareness. Basically, we're saying, may I help do this? So in a way, we're trying that on. What if? And it helps to shake up and rattle the cage a little bit, and expand our sense of what's possible. And you're meant to chew on it. You're meant to not get it all at once. And that's just like the mind training teachings too. We chew on these things. We let them cook in us, bake us. And then we have our own understanding and revelation of them. So vast motivation of bodhicitta brings vast results. That's what my teacher always says. If we have a small motivation, then small results. So pop it open. Bodhicitta. May I awaken for the benefit of all beings. So, all right. So now let's stand up and do a little bit of movement before we practice. Transition from your work day, probably welcome just a few minutes here of standing up. You can reach the arms overhead. And again, if whatever I offer to you doesn't feel suitable for you, then improvise, do what feels good. So let's reach up. And we can start with some big arm movements. And then next time you open, stay open like a starfish. And feel the chest open, the heart open, and the fingertips spread, the palms forward. This helps to uplift the spirits. Good. And then again. And then inhale. Again, last time. Good. Okay. So now take the arms and spiral to each side. Let the spine spiral, the head move. You can tap the front hand to the chest, the back hand to the kidneys. I'm making small movements, so you make bigger movements. I'm healing from a spine injury, so I just imagine making nice rotations. You can do it. The front hand is tapping your lung point, it's marma point, vital junction in Ayurveda. The back hand is tapping your bottom ribs. That's a kidney point, stimulating the kidney function. So the front hand is tapping the lung point, stimulating the lung function. The back hand is tapping the kidney point, stimulating kidney function and the adrenals. Good. And last time to the right and then to the left. Release the arms, start the hips. Circles, 1, 2. The whole upper body is sort of like you're completely relaxed, like almost like you're drunk. You're just, the face is soft, let the jaw relax, the arms dangle. You can even let the head bob a little bit, like a buoy on the surface of the ocean. So the rotation below is influencing the whole spine. It influences the way that the skull sits on the occiput. Loosens that up. We hold a lot of tension up there. And then reverse. Keep the breathing nice and deep. If you're familiar with Ujjayi breath, do the Ujjayi. Deep breath. Last couple rounds. Good. And then now step the feet together. I'll show you my feet. Feet are together, not hip width distance. Together. Bend the backs of the knees and circle the knees. Hands are above the knees on the thighs. Keep the heels down. So this also stimulates the ankles and the knees. A little bit more deeper area. Yeah, deeper bend in the knees. Yeah. Good. And then reverse. Relax the muscles of the shoulders and then come up to standing. Then hip width distance apart with the feet and do this wave motion, bending the knees, hips back and then forward, wave, ripple up through the spine. Like seaweed in the ocean. You can make this movement as big or small as you want. Just try to feel fluidity, water moving through you. Deep breathing. Release tension with the out breath. This is preparing you for your seated practice. So really start to centralize your focus. Bring it into your body and feel your feet spread against the floor. Good. Good. And then inhale. Again, exhale. Let out a sigh. And again. Good. Don't hold back. Good. Now make fists and let them drop on the ridge of the shoulders. And last one. Good. Inhale. Now gather the arms in and then exhale, bow like a sheep. Bow. Shake out your chest and your heart. Inhale. You're really shaking it out. Bow. Last one. Inhale. Bow. Good. Inhale. Step together. Hands to your heart in prayer. Exhale, bowing. And now let's come back down to a seated position, getting ready for our meditation. We'll do a 30-minute sit. So find a position that you can hold with comfort and ease as best as you can for 30 minutes. Really committing to sitting as still as possible, but we're never completely still. There's always a little bit of fluid movement with the breath. And if you have to move to adjust at some point during the sit, just do so with mindfulness. That's all I ask. All right, so allow the eyes to close. Take a deep breath and exhale, releasing tension with the out breath. Any residual tension in the face or the shoulders. Let's do 2 more like this. Inhale. You can even squeeze the shoulders up to the ears. Then exhale, let them relax down. This time, let's inhale and raise the arms overhead. And with the out breath, let the hands flop on the thighs. 2 more like this. Inhale and let this feeling of flopping just influence your whole body, mind. Inhale and exhale. And then rest, 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 rest. And then release any control of the breath. Shifting into a release method of just simply observing the natural flow of the in and the out breath. And notice the posture. Are you slouching? Sit up a little straighter, chest is buoyant, shoulders down the back. Arms are relaxed, palms down on the thighs. Then breathe down into the belly. Relax the belt line, relax the low back, the hips, the legs, the feet. And then bring the tip of the tongue to rest against the upper palate at the root of the top front teeth. Relax the lower jaw away from the upper jaw. Feel the tongue relaxed at the root, all the way down, softening, melting down towards the heart. And draw the chin in towards the center of the throat, elongating the back of the neck. This is called the 7-point posture of Vairochana. And now, right from the get-go, commit as best as you can to staying in the moment with this natural inflow and outflow of the breath within the body. Releasing distraction as soon as you notice it. When we start off clear on the practice, we're more likely to have a fighting chance. So see if you can just start with clarity. Releasing distraction as soon as you notice it. And come back to the breath, sensations of the in and the out breath as you breathe through the mouth and or the nose. The mouth might be slightly parted if that's comfortable for you in the spirit of Dzogchen practice. Just open enough to allow the size of a barley grain to fit between the lips. And within this focused mind is a field of relaxation, just broad and spacious, soothing the body with each in and out breath. This quality of mindfulness helps us to be awake to our state of mind, to remember sati, to come back to the breath, feel the subtle sensations of the air as it passes through the aperture of the nose, through the nasal passage, down through the throat, into the lungs. Feel the whole body respond to that in-breath. And then the natural release of that pouring in, the breath pouring out. What does that feel like? Is the temperature of the air warmer as it leaves the body? Enjoy this challenge of threading the eye of the needle. Rather than constricting or controlling, let it soothe you, breath by breath, into a deeper state of concentration, shamatha, calm abiding. Sometimes the sensations of the breath are too nebulous, too broad, too subtle. If the mind is unruly out of the gate, a very effective practice is to count the breath with a gentle touch. So I offer this to you, this counting at the top of each in-breath. Count from 1 to 10, and then count back down to 1. So all the way up to 9, 10, and then 10, 9, 8, and so on. Do this until the mind is still and stable, concentrated, focused yet relaxed, and then you can let go. It might take you a few rounds or more. A quiet internal count at the top of each breath. All the while allowing your practice to be pervaded by relaxation, a soothing quality, ease of letting go of tension, of fixation, of grasping onto thought, using the out-breath as a tool for allowing this to occur more and more deeply. And all the while threading the pearl necklace of mindfulness from breath to breath, cultivating stability within the relaxation. And yet with stability and relaxation, one can become dull. And so we turn up the clarity, the luminosity of awareness, a wakeful quality, so that our shamatha practice, the calm abiding practice, has the three ingredients of relaxation, stability, and clarity, a wakeful luminosity, natural luminosity of awareness shining through. And in this technique, how do we cut the flow of discursive thought, ideation? We release with the out-breath, release the fixation, release the grasping, release the aversion even with the out-breath, and come back to the breath in the body in this moment, in this moment, in this moment. The two tools that you have are mindfulness, which is the majority of the mood. The tool that you have for meditation, balanced with a smaller portion of introspection. From time to time, checking in on yourself. How am I doing? If I'm too tight, then loosen up. If you're too loose, then firm it up a bit. Like a lute string perfectly tuned. Not too tight, not too loose. Now, riding on the wings of shamatha with the breath, we slowly begin to open our eyes. Downward cast, gazing gently into the space in front and slightly below. And let the awareness of the breath recede into the background. It's always there. And now in the foreground, we take the mind itself, the domain of the mind, as our anchor in shamatha. As if you were watching actors enter and exit on a stage, we watch thoughts, feelings, perceptions, emotions arise and pass within the space of the mind, without grasping, without clinging. We settle the mind in its natural state, not its habitual state. Habitual state is that of distraction, lethargy, fantasy, rumination. In this context, in the Dharma, the natural state is clarity, limpidity, luminosity. The natural state of mind is still like a cool, limpid pool of water whose sediment is settled down to the bottom of the lake. Settle the mind in its natural state. The domain of the mind is your anchor. Thoughts, feelings, perceptions arise and pass, but leave no trace. Rest in that space between thought. Feel free to blink whenever you need to. Just a few more minutes here. If this is new to you, try it. Soften the muscles behind and around the eyes. Dissolve the notion of inner and outer. And rest the mind in its own simplicity, just as it is. Loose, free, vast, unbound awareness. One way to work with dullness in meditation or rambling on in thought is to cut the flow of rumination, the outpouring of thought, with this seed syllable, Phaṭ, which means to sever or cut. And it's meant to cut through ideation and leave you in an unmediated, thought-free state, even for a brief time. It's like lightning cutting through dark clouds. This is something you could do yourself or the teacher does. A little warning, this might occur within the next few minutes, but continue to rest, settle the mind in its natural state, releasing distraction, releasing grasping. Stabilize continuity of awareness from moment to moment to moment. And then allow the eyes to close. And rest in the state of non-meditation. Let go of all technique. Let's open our eyes. Let's come back together. Any questions, comments, observations coming right out of practice? I did something new tonight. How was that for you? Or anything arising out of practice? Please go ahead and raise your hand if you want. And maybe you're speechless, and that's okay too. Yes, Amber.
That was great.
What was the first thing you said? You liked it? Yes. Cutting through the delusion, the fog, or attachment. How did it feel?
It was great.
Uh,
Like an exploding star.
Yep, that's what it is. The original blowing your mind. Phaṭ. How about someone else?
I feel this existential tension in my muscles. It feels like the fascia
Yeah,
that just doesn't know how to release.
yeah. So you're still feeling that. Yeah,
I'm unaware of it. I only became aware of it when I got really still.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the cosmic roar
Yeah. Just
in your fascia.
in my back. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, yeah. And how were you able to? Sometimes when we drop in and we get really still, we become aware of that kind of thing, something like that. And it's either medicinal to be with it, or sometimes it makes it very loud in our awareness, and we're like, holy shit. How did you feel when you met that, when you became aware of it?
I played around with if I wanted to like micro balance, and that's when I realized it's just this tension. And so
Yeah,
I just felt compassionate to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it really feels body felt. It's this body energy, not
Yeah.
it doesn't have like yeah.
Didn't feel like it had a lot of content to it. It's more of a
No,
physical,
it's just
a bracing. Yeah.
It's just, that feels like historic patterns, like
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to notice it because I'm very flexible. It was good to feel it and to
Yeah.
feel it's okay.
Good. Yeah. So you brought compassion to it, like you said, and then Did it shift, or was it just like, okay, thank you for seeing me, I'm
It
still
was more
here?
like, thank you for seeing me. It
Yeah.
feels like it will take a lot of
Yeah.
practice
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
to give that permission to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. It sounds like you held it with spaciousness and some compassion and awareness and let it be whatever it was without trying to fix it. Yeah. And that's a huge quality of mindfulness. This practice of mindfulness is about witnessing what's there, not trying to fix it. And it's not easy for us to do, especially if we encounter discomfort. We want to change it for good reason. We want to come back to homeostasis. But yeah, that we hold a lot of, it's like there's a cosmic roar in our fascia or in our cells, and it might be from lifetimes, it might be just feeling, what's going on in the whole world. So when we drop in to deeper states of meditation, especially when the body mind gets still, we start to feel those things too. It's not all love and light, it's not all easy and blissful. But through practice, what we do is we develop a capacity to be with whatever comes up, all of that, because that's the bodhisattva path, right? That's bodhisattva is one who takes the bodhisattva vow to awaken for the benefit of all beings. And if we're going to do that, I'm not saying you all have done that, some of us maybe have, this commitment to wake up for the benefit of everyone, we need to get used to feeling the discomfort and the tension and all of that stuff too, and be with it, like bear witness to it. Because in a way, you're learning to be like the Buddhist shaman, like you have to be willing to undergo your own death and then reconstruction, rebirth, in order to bear witness to the pain and suffering of the world and to become that bodhisattva, that one who awakens for the benefit of all. So we do that through our trials and tribulations, through our pain, our illness, our heartbreak, just our parenting, or whatever it is we're doing. How many people have had a broken heart over and over and over again in the room? Yes, 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 yes. And I'm not just talking about romance, like just being human is heartbreaking. So I appreciate you bringing that into the space too, what you found, what you uncovered. Okay, so now I want to get into some of the teaching around this 44th slogan, which you may recall, where we've been on this one this is our third class. It will be the final class, I promise. Okay, so 44. Who wants to read out loud for the new folks in the class? Loud and proud. Yes. What's your name? Robert. 44. Yeah, the stapling is confusing. Sorry.
Is this it?
Yeah, in that sheet number 44. There are 59 total, so it's probably on the back page by now. We're all very excited for you to read this to us, Robert.
Essentially, right. Train in the 3 difficulties.
Very good. Appreciate your strong voice. Train in the 3 difficulties. So we've been moving through what these 3 are. 3 classes ago, we explored the first one, which is to meet difficulties with mindfulness and introspection, right? Remember? Do you have sati about that? Do you remember? Right, so I brought this into the practice today. Mindfulness is about 85% of your technique here when we're doing shamatha vipassana. It's the lion's share. And then introspection is about 15%. So it's looking in from time to time. How am I doing? Are you lost in thought? Are you drifting into sleep? Apply the antidote. fine-tune so that we don't, on the one hand, become masters of dullness, and on the other hand, masters of distraction. Those are the two pitfalls of shamatha. So introspection helps us rein it in and bring more balance. So we're not just drifting off into nowhere land. We want to be a master of clarity, of luminosity, of relaxation, of stability. Remember those three qualities I highlight every time. How many people are getting sick of them? I want you to be sick of them. Are you noticing the pattern? Relaxation first. Am I relaxed? No, okay, maybe not all the time completely, that's fine, but at least that's the mood I'm bringing to my shamatha. Then number 2, stability. Breath by breath, moment by moment, concentration. Things start getting good then. You start enjoying meditation. And then 3 is clarity. Because if with relaxation and stability, doesn't it make sense that you could start going, you could get hypnotized into lethargy. You're relaxed and you're stable. Stability is kind of boring sometimes, right? We like excitement. Needs to be spicy. Okay, so we bring in clarity to spice it up a little bit. Turn up the clarity dial, the luminosity dial. But just enough, not to destabilize the relaxation and the stability, right? So you're surfing that wave of those 3 qualities. So mindfulness and introspection help us to meet the distraction, the difficulties that come to mind, the body, mind, spirit when we're trying to practice. Then the second aspect of these 3 difficulties was to avert, and apply remedies. So we talked about that last time, where we see it coming and we kind of wu-wei it, or we do the little kung fu thing. Or whatever. I'm not a martial artist, but I'm just pretending I am. But you kind of like dodge it, playing dodgeball with thoughts. Don't let it hit you square blank. You recognize it, and then recall a specific antidote. So if you're getting angry and tense, then apply patience, right? If you're grasping and clinging, then apply some spacious relaxation and equanimity. We talked about that. Now we come to the third part. There are other ways to avert too, but Tonglen, remember, was another one, sending and receiving. Apply the slogans, that was another one. Now tonight we come to the third and final aspect of these 3 difficulties, which is called cutting the flow. Cutting the flow. So I wanted you to experience, I was planting some seeds in this meditation of how we can cut the flow. So cutting the flow is essentially recognizing when we are distracted and then literally cutting that flow. Well, we can do that by settling the mind in its natural state. It's not a sharp cutting, it's just a simply releasing or dissolving, or yes, cutting the little thread of grasping that we do and aversion that we do when thoughts and feelings arise. And settle back into spacious awareness. You're settling the mind in its natural state. It's a very Dzogchen approach to cutting the flow. But then you have another aspect that I really want to highlight tonight, which is to use this very powerful seed syllable, Phaṭ. I want you to learn this because it's a very cool tool. It's an ancient seed syllable, Phaṭ, with a dot under the T, so it's Phaṭ. And it actually, I want you to look at the chant sheet that we started with tonight. And there's a mantra there that has this word in it. It's the 8th Tara mantra. So on the second side, bodhicitta prayers at the top, then mantras halfway down. The second mantra from the bottom is the 8th Tara Aparajita mantra. She's our Justice Tara, so we're going to chant to her in a moment. Om tare tutare ture daha pacha hong Phaṭ svaha. So here's this syllable Phaṭ. I'll just explain the rest of it later. Phaṭ is a common seed syllable that means to cut, to sever, to crack sometimes. And it has its origins way back in the Vedas. Very ancient seed syllable, not just Buddhist, it's Hindu, Shaiva. It's used in a lot of different traditions of tantric practice. And Phaṭ is sometimes the end of a mantra, sometimes here it's the second to the end, can be in other places in a mantra. And it's meant to in some way be like an onomatopoeia, that it sounds the way, it means what it sounds like. Phaṭ. And so the instruction is to sound this seed syllable from time to time yourself. If you find that you're lost in thought, it's a way to cut the flow. And they say to do it actually out in nature so that you don't do it in your like apartment building where a bunch of people in your area will think you're a little bit cuckoo. Like even in Tibet, they'll say, go out into nature and practice the Phaṭ, cutting through. So you go out into the woods, you go out into the mountaintop, so you can really do it loud and not worry about being heard. It's not that big of a deal. I would do it in my apartment building. That's my only choice. But sometimes they say to go out in nature and meditate in nature, settle the mind in its natural state, do any form of shamatha, whatever form of meditation you're doing. And then when you notice that you are distracted or lack of clarity, maybe you're sinking into dullness, this is what you do. You go, and rest in that clarity that happens after that. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? It's kind of shocking. It's meant to shock you. And it has this really beautiful effect of cracking the dullness open, cracking the distraction, dissolving it, and then you rest in the after. So I want to teach it to you. You are going to learn how to do it. And if you're falling asleep, you will wake up. Okay, so it's a P-H-A-T. So it's a, try that with me. The belly comes back towards the spine. So let's all inhale and just say, and draw the navel back towards the spine. It's like you're squeezing the air out by pushing the navel. You feel that? Inhale. Good. Then you're just going to add out. So, yeah. Okay. So you can be a fool in here. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be like, I want to look weird. Like, take the lid off. That's what Phaṭ does. It takes the lid off. So we inhale. Good. Let's do it again. Inhale. We'll do it one more time, and then we're going to rest in that spaciousness. Inhale. How did that feel? Do you know that they say that this sound comes from the charnel ground practices where yogins would go to practice and meditate on impermanence, of course, and death, maranasati, mindfulness of death, watching the corpses burn, It happened in Buddhism too. It's very common in the Indian tradition, and Tibetan and others. And the sound of the skull, when it gets hot enough to crack, it makes that sound. That was kind of a weak one. So when Amber said, what did you say? Cracked you open or something? Something like that. I had told her this before, so she was on to me. She knows. She knows that she likes it. So it might sound gory, but we're in October. We can be gory, and it's not. It's the beauty of the terror of reality. And someday we might not be cremated, but we can imagine. Everything bursts. And then really what the beautiful aspect of this is that there's this old story of this, a woman, an Indian woman. She was a mother, householder, but she was drawn to practice Tantra. And she found a tantric Buddhist guru. But she had her household obligations during the day, taking care of the children, cooking, washing, all of it. But by night, she would practice what she learned from her guru. She'd stay up and meditate. And she was being taught the nature of mind, that vast, spacious, luminous, absolute nature of mind. But she wasn't quite, she was still on the path. She was still trying to understand. And then the story goes that one day she went down to the river to gather some water in a clay pitcher, which is what is common, still is in some places. So she went down the steep bank to the river, filled up her water, went to go put it on her head as she began walking up the banks. She slipped, dropped the pitcher, and it burst into pieces. And in that moment, she had realization. She realized the teachings. And what she realized was the space in here is no different than the space out there. And the breaking of the pitcher taught her that. That this separation is an illusion. So that's also the mood of this practice. Let it crack you open. Let it blow your mind. And then rest in that spaciousness. So, all right. So sometimes a teacher will actually do like what I did in the practice, where they will tell you to rest in shamatha, rest in quietude, and then they won't warn you. This is a way of giving transmission, mind-to-mind transmission. They don't warn you. But if you've done these teachings before, you know it's coming. You try to not expect it. But I sort of warned you because we aren't in that context. You might have had a heart attack or something. So you're resting, and then the teacher will just spring it on you. And it's meant to trip you into a state of rigpa, pristine awareness. So teachings will happen like that from teacher to student, particularly in Dzogchen and Mahamudra. Pointing out instructions will happen with that. But it's also something, like I just said, you can do, and you should try. Try it as a technique, cutting the flow. Okay? Want to try one more time? Inhale, sit up. Nice and tall.
Battery 80%.
I don't know how to not have that happen. All right, so now we're going to chant this mantra to the 8th Phaṭ, a Parajita. She is the Phaṭ who obliterates all forms of injustice. So I feel like these 2 weeks leading up to our elections, no matter where your background is, we can all pray for justice and for all injustice to be obliterated. And that means voting rights, everything, access to the voting polls, all forms of injustice, pacified. This Phaṭ is dark red in color. She's fierce. She's like Kali, but she's a red one, dark red. And the mantra goes Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. So Om Tara, come swift, O Tara. Daha Pacha literally means to obliterate, to incinerate. So Daha means to burn. Pacha also means to burn or to fire, like cooking. But so I call it like incinerate. But we can also understand that things are burned in order to bring new life. Hom is another seed syllable that means nature of mind. Phaṭ, so we can feel like obliterate all injustice so that we can realize, crack into the experience of the nature of our own lives. Swaha, so be it. So this has 2 parts. This is kirtan. It has a melody to it. Repeat after me. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. All right. So if you're new to this melody, you can just listen and then join in when you feel like you have it. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Try it. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Daha Pacha Hom Phaṭ Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture tutare ture daha pachamo hai swaha tutare ture daha pachamo hai swaha om tare 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 tutare ture daha pachamo hai swaha. Om tare tutare ture daha pachamo hai swaha. Hey! Sound of the bell. Let's dedicate the merit, the good energy of all of our collective practice for the benefit of all. Like a drop of water releasing into the vast ocean of positive energy, it becomes limitless. The sound waves, imagine these prayers go in all directions. Obliterating injustice in all directions, bringing peace, joy, everything that beings need. And may they taste the soma, the nectar of their own true nature. Thank you, everybody. Tahapajahum Phaṭ. Swaha. I hope you go to sleep or wake up with those melodies in your consciousness. And if they do, that's a good sign. Om Dare 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 Daha Pajahum Phaṭ. Swaha. Good. You've always got the YouTube recording too. If you want to go back and listen, you can fast forward to the end of class. It's on the Alembic YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful evening. I'll see you next week so we can nourish our demons, those aspects of ourselves that just need a little love and nectar. All right. See you. Good night. I'll sit up here for a little bit longer if you have a question, or if you're new to class. I enjoy it when people come and introduce themselves. And enjoy tea in the lobby, of course. There's always a wonderful opportunity to make new friends, talk Dharma, have a cup of tea. Thanks, Alembic. Hi, let me turn off my mic. Every Tuesday.
So, my name's Renee. Way too many things to say.